I walked in on my wife with the two men in her bed, and she blamed me for it. Love jaw-dropping Reddit stories? Subscribe and join the fun. New stories are dropping all the time. I never thought I'd be the guy who walks in on his wife cheating, but there I was, standing in the doorway of our bedroom, staring at a scene that would haunt me for the rest of my life. My wife, Lisa, was in bed with two men. At least, I thought it was perfect. Lisa and I had been married for 7 years, and for the most part, things were good. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but what couple doesn't? I worked a lot. Too much, according to Lisa. I was a project manager for a construction company, and the job demanded long hours and frequent travel, but I did it for us. I wanted to give Lisa the life she deserved, a nice house, vacations, financial security. "You're never home," she'd say, her voice tinged with frustration. "I'm doing this for us," I'd reply, trying to reassure her. "Once this project is done, things will calm down." But they never did. Looking back, there were signs, little things that didn't quite add up, like the way Lisa would suddenly start dressing up more, even when she wasn't going anywhere, or the way she'd be on her phone constantly smiling at the screen like she was sharing some inside joke. I ignored them. I didn't want to believe that the woman I loved could betray me. It was a Tuesday night. I'd been working late, trying to wrap up a project before a big deadline. I came home exhausted, expecting to find Lisa asleep or maybe watching TV in the living room. But the house was quiet, too quiet. I walked upstairs, my footsteps muffled by the carpet, and pushed open the bedroom door. What I saw stopped me in my tracks. Lisa was in bed with two men. They were laughing, tangled in the sheets, completely oblivious to the world around them. For a moment, I just stood there, frozen. Then reality hit me like a punch to the gut. "What the hell is this?" I shouted, my voice shaking with anger. Lisa's head snapped up, her eyes wide with panic. "Oh my God," she whispered. The two men scrambled out of bed, grabbing their clothes and muttering apologies as they bolted past me. I didn't even look at them. My eyes were locked on Lisa. "How could you do this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She stared at me, her face pale. I can explain." "Explain?" I repeated, my voice rising. "Explain what? That you've been cheating on me? That you've been lying to me this whole time?" Lisa started crying, her shoulders shaking with sobs. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen." "You didn't mean for this to happen?" I said, my voice cold. "You didn't mean to cheat on me with two guys at once?" She didn't have an answer. I packed a bag that night and left. I couldn't stay in that house, not after what I'd seen. I checked into a hotel, my mind racing with questions I didn't have answers to. How long had this been going on? How many times had she lied to me? How could I have been so blind? The days after I walked in on Lisa were a blur of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that the woman I'd loved and trusted had betrayed me in the worst way possible. But as much as I wanted to wallow in my pain, I didn't have the luxury, because Lisa wasn't done with me, not by a long shot. Lisa called me the next day, her voice trembling. "We need to talk," she said. "What's there to talk about?" I replied, my voice cold. "Please," she begged. "I know I messed up, but we can fix this." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "Fix this? Lisa, you were in bed with two other men. How do you fix that?" She started crying, her sobs echoing through the phone. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I was lonely, and you were never home. I needed attention." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. "So this is my fault?" "No," she said quickly. "I'm not saying that. I'm trying to explain." "There's no explanation for this," I said, my voice rising. "You cheated on me, Lisa. You betrayed me. And now you're trying to blame me for it?" She didn't have an answer. I filed for divorce the next week. It wasn't easy. I'd invested so much into our marriage. But I knew I couldn't stay with someone who'd betrayed me like that. Lisa didn't take it well. She fought me every step of the way, dragging out the process and making things as difficult as possible. "You're abandoning me," she said during one particularly heated argument. "You're just walking away instead of trying to fix this." "There's nothing to fix," I replied, my voice firm. "You made your choice, Lisa. Now you have to live with it." As the divorce proceedings dragged on, Lisa's true colors started to show. She blamed me for everything, for her cheating, for the breakdown of our marriage, even for her own unhappiness. "If you'd been home more, this never would have happened," she said during one court hearing. I stared at her, my jaw tightening. "So this is my fault?" "I'm not saying it's your fault," she replied, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "I'm just saying you played a part in this." The judge didn't buy it. "Ms. Carter," the judge said, her tone sharp, "your actions are your own. You cannot blame your husband for your infidelity." It was a small victory, but it didn't make up for the pain of everything I'd been through. The divorce was finalized a few months later. I got the house, the car, and most of our savings. Lisa got a small settlement, but it wasn't enough to make up for what she'd lost. She didn't take it well. She started posting cryptic messages on social media, painting herself as the victim and me as the villain. Some people are quick to judge but slow to understand, she wrote in one post. I guess love wasn't enough for him. I didn't respond. I knew better than to engage. The divorce was finalized, but the emotional scars remained. Lisa's betrayal had left me questioning everything: my judgment, my ability to trust, even my self-worth. But as much as I wanted to wallow in my pain, I knew I had to keep moving forward. Lisa's social media campaign against me escalated after the divorce. She posted long emotional rants about how I'd abandoned her and how she was healing from the trauma of our breakup. Some people can't handle the truth, she wrote in one post. They'd rather run away than face their own mistakes. The comments were brutal. People I didn't even know were calling me names, demanding I do better, and siding with Lisa without hearing my side of the story. I tried to ignore it, but the constant barrage of negativity was exhausting. Finally, I decided to set the record straight. I wrote a long, detailed post explaining everything: how I'd walked in on Lisa with two other men, how she'd blamed me for her infidelity, and how I'd tried to move on despite the pain. This isn't about blame, I wrote. This is about trust. Lisa betrayed me in the worst way possible, and I couldn't stay in a relationship where trust was broken. The response was overwhelming. People who had believed Lisa's lies apologized, and others shared their own stories of dealing with toxic exes. Lisa tried to defend herself, but her excuses fell flat. Lisa didn't take the backlash well. She showed up at my house one night, demanding to talk. You ruined my life, she said, her voice shaking with anger. No, Lisa, I replied. You ruined your own life. I just stopped letting you ruin mine. She stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked away. I didn't hear from her again. With Lisa out of my life, I focused on rebuilding. I reconnected with my family, repaired my friendships, and even started dating again. This time I was more cautious, more aware of the importance of honesty and trust. The fallout from my divorce with Lisa was messy, painful, and exhausting. But as the dust settled, I realized I had come out stronger on the other side. I'd learned hard lessons about trust, self-respect, and the importance of setting boundaries. And while the scars from that marriage would always be there, they didn't define me. Lisa's social media campaign fizzled out once the truth came to light. Her posts, which had once been flooded with supportive comments, became a graveyard of unanswered rants. People moved on to the next drama, and Lisa faded into the background. I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved to another city, trying to start over. Part of me hoped she'd find happiness, but another part of me knew that until she faced her own issues, she'd keep repeating the same patterns. The hardest part of moving on wasn't getting over Lisa, it was learning to trust again. For months, I questioned every interaction, every conversation, every potential red flag. I didn't want to be blindsided again, but slowly I started to let my guard down. I reconnected with old friends, leaned on my family for support, and even started seeing a therapist to work through the lingering trust issues. You can't let one bad experience dictate your future, my therapist said during one session. Not everyone is going to betray you. You just have to be smart about who you let into your life. It was good advice, and I took it to heart. About a year after the divorce, I met someone new. Her name was Claire, and she was everything Lisa wasn't: honest, straightforward, and unapologetically herself. We met at a coffee shop of all places. She was reading a book I'd been meaning to read, and we struck up a conversation. It was easy, natural, and refreshingly real. I'm not perfect, she said during one of our early dates. I've made mistakes, and I've got a past, but I believe in being honest about who I am. It was exactly what I needed to hear. Lisa didn't take my new relationship well. She started posting cryptic messages on social media, trying to paint herself as the victim once again. Some people move on too quickly, she wrote in one post, but karma always comes around. I didn't engage. Instead, I posted a picture of Claire and me at a charity event, smiling and happy. The caption was simple: when you find someone who loves you for you, everything else just falls in place. Lisa didn't respond, and I didn't expect her to. She was a part of my past, and I was finally ready to leave her there. Claire and I have been together for 2 years now, and things are better than I ever could have imagined. We've built a life based on trust, honesty, and mutual respect, everything I didn't have with Lisa. And as for Lisa, I heard through the grapevine that she's still searching for happiness. I don't know if she'll ever find it, but I hope she does. Want more crazy Reddit stories? You know what to do. Subscribe now and never miss an update.